Awesome day today.
It is.
Okay, Patrick Evans-Hylton is in this fucking house. Now, let me tell you this. You have about 5 or 10 seconds to really awe them and make them stick around. Say something.
Hey there.
He's excited.
Got him. Got him.
Totally roped him in.
We got him. We got him.
Patrick Evans-Hylton does everything in this area. I'm going to call you the queen of culinary in Hampton Roads because you do own that title in many aspects when it comes from historian, food history, writing now, 13, working on your 14th book, working with pretty much every chef that has ever come up in this area and also kind of defying a lot of odds in this industry. So today we're going to dive in and get really inappropriate with someone who has been a friend for a long time. And you know I love you, so thank you for being here with us.
Yes.
Yeah, so to give him a taste,
I'm just here to fuck shit up.
Tony doesn't know what's going to happen with this episode.
I know what's going to happen. Come on.
Well, we'll start with what we're drinking. How about that? What are you drinking, love?
I'm just doing a little tequila and a little bit of pink lemonade.
Oh, okay.
I'm being weird today. It was the first thing I could grab in the cooler, which is honestly what I was doing.
I lived in a trailer once too. It's all good.
It's okay.
And what about you, honey?
I'm going with the Basil Hayden, my man.
Oh, yes.
Basil Hayden straight up on the rock. We got this thing going on. And what about you, though? That's a question.
Oh, well, I love a good martini, but 2 at the very most. 3, I'm under the table, and 4, I'm under the host. So
Bang.
Both of you
Lucky host, I guess.
Watch out.
I know.
Shit's getting ready.
And you've been to a few parties in your lifetime.
Well, remember the first time we judged that competition together on the Spirit of Norfolk?
Oh, my God.
I mean, I don't remember it except for the photos.
Most of us don't remember that night.
Photos always tell the story.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
Always tell the story.
Who thought it was a good idea to put a bunch of people on a boat with unlimited alcohol?
Yeah. And you had to taste.
That's not the night it burnt.
Everything.
That's not the night it burnt down, was it?
Well, I don't. Under advice of my attorney, I'm not able to answer that time. I thought we had cleared that with your people.
No, we don't clear shit. We just go for it. So let me say, this is an honor to have you here. We're going to go on with this thing because I'm gonna tell you how I first remember you.
Yes.
You came to me one time with an idea of putting on your show at the time that you had, the Virginia Eats, Drinks, and Things, right? Was it called?
Yeah.
Virginia Eats and Drinks.
Eats and Drinks, right?
Yes.
It was a show
Something
at the
like
time.
that.
It was a good show, and you
Yes.
put together something that had to do with all Hampton Roads, really, from what I remember, and it had to do with local chefs, things of that nature. Wasn't sure what to make of you. I didn't know what you made of me at the time. I was pretty fucking alpha, and you were talking to me in a way that I didn't know if we were timid with each other, if we didn't set off on the right foot. So a lot of time went by where I didn't know if I was on the best graces with you or what. And then time went on, and I met you through Sid. I saw you with Chef Sid, with Chef Serge over at Glasslight. We sat down and talked more, got a little bit more personal. I got a lot more comfortable with you because honestly, I could give a fuck about anybody's personal preferences. I like people, period. And I stand behind that. So I'm really glad we got to break the ice. And now that I've known you, right?
Yes.
I've seen a whole different side of you, and the side of you that I thoroughly enjoy is a couple of them. One, you're just outright fucking rude, crass, and obnoxious, and I love you for that. And it's all in good ways, right? You have no problem saying what you feel.
Well, I do channel Joan Crawford from time to time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And who else? Julia?
Oh, Julia, too. Oh, most definitely.
So you have a huge background in the culinary world, and a lot of people don't really realize that. I think they see you as a food historian, in which you are, which we can touch that in a minute. They also see you as somebody who's doing the interviews. You're the one who goes out and does the what word am I looking for, Chris?
You host the shows, you bring on the guests, you do the questions.
Correct.
So you've been on both sides.
Right for the pilot.
Both sides.
You're right for the pilot. You
for-
do food writing. You work for you have things to do with James Beard.
Yes.
You do things for The Ordinary out of Virginia, which is huge. You have a huge reach of what goes on in this state and further, right? Your books that you write, 14th in the writing now?
Running on number
works?
14 now, yes.
And for the first time in a long time, you're on the other side of the microphone here being questioned.
Yes.
Instead of questioning. So it's an amazing...
the last time somebody interviewed me, they were a pussy, so I'm really looking forward to this.
that.
Oh, we are not around here.
I know.
I will say, I am what I eat, my man, so it might be a problem here. I'm just saying.
So you just got back from Ohio.
Well, no. I don't know where that reference is, dude. Is that a reference I should know about?
They're eating cats and dogs.
Oh, yeah. No, I got you now. No.
Got it.
No, I'm talking about the other pussy.
Yeah. Oh, see,
The one
I know
you
you're
don't
familiar
mess
with that, but
the
it's...
one you don't
I've
mess with,
heard
honey.
rumors about that.
Yeah, right? Anyway, so here's the deal, man. I would really want to get into stuff. You're a historian of food. You're a writer of food. You're a chef. people don't really realize that you have your time in the kitchen.
Yes.
And you go way back to the time where your sexuality and stuff, as we know here, and you're not afraid of representing your genre and stuff. And I support you in this. So you don't give a fuck. And that's why I support you. Now, I don't say I support everybody. It's because I don't support the people who don't give a fuck or wouldn't stand behind anything, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
I don't stand behind those people. I let them stand alone. I stand behind people who stand behind what they believe in thoroughly. And I stand behind that. So you've come up in a rough way. You went to chef school. You went to the chef. You were in the line. You were cooking in a time where we talk about now as the pussification. He was involved with it when it was on the total other side.
When you were getting
it was boot camp.
Tell
years,
us something.
Like, what was the years you kind of started in
Well,
culinary?
I went to Johnson & Wales in 94, 95. And it was when it was 2 years school. Now they have different programs. Of course, their campus isn't in Norfolk any longer. But, and it was very shocking to me because, honestly, there was one summer when I was 16 years old that I worked at Hardee's for 2 weeks. And that was my only real time working at any kind of restaurant. But I grew up in the South with my grandmother who loved to cook, cooked every meal. We get up in the morning and cook a pan of biscuits and a pan of cornbread just to start the day, every single day. And so I saw, her cooking, and I loved to see how, she would turn that flour, how she'd work it with her hands, and all of a sudden I'd come with these biscuits. The holidays when everything would come out and it would be so absolutely delicious. It was something she crafted by hand. So when I moved up here, I'm a widow. I'm married, have remarried to my husband Doug now. But when I moved up here to be with my late husband Wayne, not saying that I have a lot of time or money now, but we sure didn't then. I was in my early 20s. He was young too. And so cooking was really a necessity. There was no dining out or anything. My career at that time was banking and finance. And so I enjoyed cooking. We bought a small... I'm a deeply religious person, and when I say religion, I mean I'm a Martha-lite. I worship at the Church of Martha Stewart, and all hail Martha. And so I watched her shows, and I got it in my head that I wanted a Turkey Hill farm like she had. So we bought a small farm in Suffolk, believe it or not, just based on Martha Stewart. And
not knowing shit about farming.
No, not knowing shit about Suffolk either. Love you, Suffolk. Mean it. And but anyway, we made a go of things out there. And then I was in Atlanta visiting my folks when I saw that Martha Stewart was going to be doing a fundraiser for lupus. And so I got an invitation, wrangled an invitation to that, and I actually got to talk to her. And at the time, I was approaching 30 years old, and I told her that I was thinking about changing careers out of banking and finance, that I loved to cook, and that there was a Johnson & Wales in Norfolk. And Martha is a very wonderful person. She's also a very intimidating person, and
she's strong.
She's
strong, right?
She's a handsome woman, and so she said, well, you should. Johnson & Wales is a great school. So that was a Saturday. I flew back to Norfolk on Sunday, and Monday I went into Johnson & Wales, and I said, Martha sent me, and I signed up.
Oh my gosh!
And so,
signed, sealed, delivered.
later, I actually got to be on her show 9 times with one of my cookbooks that I had done, and so that was really amazing.
So was that would you call that was that the escalation? Was that part of the escalator ride up, or was that the? I'm sure that wasn't the highlight because you're still going.
Yeah, that was about midway so far in my career. But getting back to Johnson & Wales, Johnson & Wales at the time in the early 90s, mid 90s, that was when chefs scared the shit out of you. Whether they were in a chef instructor, whether they were in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It was a time where there was no mentoring. There was, I will beat your ass if you break that hollandaise sauce. So you better learn how to do it. And even though you were paying quite a bit of money at the time for that privilege of being abused, and there's a word for that, but I don't know if we can say it. But anyway, people that abuse you for money. But we'll come back to that later.
Yeah, let's circle back that around.
Why does a Eurythmics song come to mind? But anyway, but you did learn, and I'm still in contact with many of the chef instructors. It was just that brand of tough love back then. And, by God, I can still, cut a chiffonade like the best of them. I can do a tomato concasse. I can roast those bones and make an espadelle sauce. I can cut those juliennes to perfect batons without even getting out a measuring a ruler or something too.
Yeah.
But and what that did for what I do now though is it has enhanced my ability when I do go into a restaurant to understand what's going on in the mind of the chef a little bit more.
Exactly. So when you're writing, unlike most writers, okay,
Yeah.
or most people who are going to
Critics
host
or-
critics or
yeah.
anything else, a lot of them have never done that. They've never been on that side.
No, and that's disgusting.
So
That's
when you're
disgusting
when
to
you're
me.
looking at something to see why a sauce is breaking, you know why it's breaking.
Yes.
You have an idea of what made it break, and you have an idea of what could have done why it didn't break, and why the fuck is it at your table?
Yes.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
remember going to a restaurant once and the ceviche was grilled and and it was in some kind of sauce. And I clearly said, I think I got the wrong order. This isn't ceviche. So the server, who was very sweet, went and came back and she said, that's the way the chef does the ceviche. And I said, well, could you please tell the chef that he's full of shit? Because if he wants to call this, grilled seafood and sauce, that's one thing, but don't call it ceviche.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
And again, it was tasty, but it wasn't ceviche.
Yeah.
Wrong. He had it wrong. He had it wrong. Right.
Yeah.
And the best part about it is the ones that want to argue with you like you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I
yeah.
mean? That's the
no, I
best
had
part.
that once happen too. Somebody sent me out flounder, calling it rockfish, and at the time I was on the board for the Virginia Aquarium Sensible Seafood Program too, right? And I was working on a book about seafood, and I said, I know rockfish. No, that's rockfish. And I said, can I see the tags?
Yeah.
No
Wouldn't
tags.
do
were
it.
produced.
Rockfish in this area also is, by the way, for all those who are watching outside of this or listening, rockfish is indigenous to our area
Yes.
like fucking oxygen. Rockfish is a
And
Hampton
anybody
Roads
would
staple.
know, whether you were trained or just
Sure.
And in fact, one interesting thing is rockfish has always been so popular here. In 1621, the very first conservation act in the colonies, which would later, of course, become the United States, was to protect the overfishing of rockfish. That's how popular they've always been here.
Wow.
Back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine
Yeah,
that.
even
Imagine
then,
there was probably
1621.
16 people
Yeah.
with a fishing pole, a bamboo. You're
trying to-
catching too much.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah,
It's
right,
doing
I
the
mean,
most.
Jebediah, put that rockfish back.
Back.
Yeah,
You-
Jebediah. Pa, you done told me I can catch two.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that goes all the way back, and just again, that shows your knowledge and how vast it is as far as our history, which we can get into again in a minute. So look, what you're talking about, Johnson and Wales. My father,
Yes.
that's my relation to this country. Really, how I was born is my father came here from Italy on a program back in the 70s before Johnson and Wales even expanded out. They were only
Yes.
in Providence, Rhode Island.
Yes.
So he came here and he went to school there. And that's where I got my kind of start into the intro. Before I was even born, I was into the whole cooking scene from there. But that's the relation I have with Johnson and Wales. I didn't go there, but that's where my father came here and went to Johnson and Wales from Italy.
And Providence
directly.
is a great city. Talk
It's
about a food
one of my
city.
favorites.
Of course,
So,
because
yeah.
of this.
You got
college, but-
again. We got Chicago. We got Providence. We got New York. Of course, we have all these.
Suffolk.
Yeah.
Suffolk, Virginia, huge
Suffolk.
food city. Right? You love it, huh?
You love
You're into it.
Suffolk has been very, very good to me,
Yes.
though. That was actually where I started my food writing career, was at the Suffolk News
Yeah.
Herald, almost 30 years ago.
Wow.
I do love Suffolk. I love making light of Suffolk, but I do love Suffolk.
Sure. It is a. I mean, it's a place.
We're going to hashtag Suffolk for
We're gonna
this show.
hashtag Suffolk for the show, yeah.
Just so we can get it
Absolutely.
in there.
So when did you had a passion for cooking? Obviously, you had a Martha Stewart came along. She got you all wet down below, right? She got you
I
working
am
into
right
this,
now just
into this
thinking
thing.
about her.
Yeah.
Right? Who wouldn't be? So especially with her, with her thug ass. So I think she's great at what she does. She's really taken the whole culinary thing to a new level, and the
Yes.
stuff that she's produced, puts out there. It all checks out. There's no bullshit. I'm a chef. I do what I do. I've had my accolades in my time in the industry, and she puts out product. There's no doubt.
She makes people think, she inspires people, and she makes people explore, whether it's explore places to go or things to cook at home, go to farmers markets. She's a wonderful.
possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she really does.
Mhm.
She
really
owns
She
it.
does.
She owns
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
she does. She owns it. So moving on from that, what do you went to school not thinking you were going to go do all the
No.
historian stuff. You went to school to be a chef.
Yes.
Right. So where along the lines did you get fucked with a lot in the kitchen? Did you have to deal with a lot of shit in the kitchen? When did
Yeah,
when
what
did
was
your
the worst?
passion? What's that?
What was the worst? Like,
What
we
was
need
the
to get to
worst for
that.
one? And when did your passion change from? When did you see the change from being chef classic on the line person to moving into where you are now with the where you are now in culinary? You still provide a lot for the industry. Do you feel you provide more now than you did as a chef, or where are you at? Go ahead. And
I definitely feel like I do more now, because now I really do try to use my knowledge, my background, my experiences to highlight, especially in coastal Virginia, what we have here. And what we have here is extremely special. We have wonderful chefs. We have wonderful restaurants. We have wonderful farmers markets. We have, distilleries, breweries. We have wineries close by. We live in a wonderful place. And I want to, whether it's on the television, on my appearances on Coast Live, whether it's my radio show, the Virginia Eats and Drink Show on AM 790 WNS, whether it's my articles I write for the Pilot, whether it's the books I write, I want to use my platform to give a voice to people that, for whatever reason, may not have that ability to share their information that needs to be shared and needs to be told.
Yeah. And the books, let's get on those too, because the amount of research that goes into that and the amount of knowledge you have, you can spit off dates and everything. All of the topics of your books are diverse.
Yes.
So, one of your books is just on popcorn.
Yes.
Like,
that was the one that Martha liked. Yes.
Is popcorn recipes, an entire book on popcorn recipes. But what are all the topics you've covered in that?
Popcorn and nuts. We won't go there. It is the type you eat. Well, we won't go there either. We won't go there either. But, the history of peanuts in the region, the history of country ham in the region.
Suffolk.
Yes, Suffolk and Smithfield and Isle of Wight. Let's see. There was one that's just called Dishing Up Virginia. That's literally my love letter to the entire Commonwealth, that covers all the regions of Virginia, a little bit of their history, and what culinary calling cards are special to each one of those regions. I've written a book about the history of restaurants in this area. I wrote a book called Virginia Distilled, 4 Centuries of Drinking in the Old Dominion, that explores alcohol production and consumption from 1607 to present. And I'm currently working on a book called tentatively just Chesapeake Bay Seafood, that will look at seafood in across the bay from Virginia to Maryland from 1607 to present as well.
Funny you say that, because I was going to mention that. People forget, like you said, Virginia, Hampton Roads, coastal Virginia, this area produces so much shit for the rest of the country. Outside of food alone, the fucking hip-hop scene, the sports, we have sports legends coming from here.
Yes.
We have hip-hop icons coming from here. The food scene, but the food scene being so big, the chef scene is now starting to escalate as well.
Absolutely.
And that Chesapeake Bay right there is a fucking honeypot.
We are so lucky to live where we do, because we have the bounty of the Chesapeake Bay. We have the Atlantic Ocean. We have all the farmlands up on the eastern shore and to the west of us. We have artisans making, cheese and other dairy products. We really do live in a remarkable place.
Would you consider this the beginning? So I'm thinking about the Mason-Dixon. I'm thinking, where does the southern cooking become south, mid-coast, and up to the north? When does the northeast kick in? What do you consider Virginia when it comes to your history here? Is it southern? Is it its own twist? Is it a stepping stone area? Where are we?
We're not southern. I grew up in Atlanta. That's the South.
That's the South.
You go down over the border from Suffolk into North Carolina, that's the South, except for the Outer Banks. That's its own entity. We are definitely more mid-Atlantic, with influences from the Northeast and influences from the South. You go a little bit inland out, say, just past Suffolk, even to the fringes of Suffolk and north from, like, say, Surrey and all. That's more southern until you get up to the Piedmont and to the Appalachia, or until you get up to Fredericksburg or something. But we are kind of in a unique pocket here. And I'm glad that we're not just pigeonholed, into everything is, biscuits and gravy. There's nothing wrong with biscuits and gravy, but, we have all of those wonderful, seafood dishes. We have so many other things here that we're very lucky that we are, but where we are. But I consider us mid-Atlantic.
Mid-Atlantic. So when you came, now you're from Michigan, Chris, right? So when you came out here, I'm from the East Coast. I've always loved food and cooked food, Northeast. But I have a good flair or feeling, because it's kind of runs, like he said, it runs into each other. And Virginia's kind of where the tides meet, or where the bay meets the sea type of thing, Where, we kind of get a little bit of mix of everything.
Yeah.
When you came here from Michigan when you were younger, if you remember, because I don't know if you even considered things like that back then, I'm not sure. But what did you think of the food here? Was it so different from what you're used to out your way of being in the Midwest?
Yeah, well, and again, I mean, we grew up on a farm, like, horse farm, no money. So my meals consisted of basically chicken, meat, rice, some corn.
Potatoes.
The only 3 seasonings we had were, garlic, salt, not garlic, salt, salt and pepper, and butter. That was it. That was the only thing I'd ever had. So coming here, this was the first place I had ever had seafood. And I was, 20 years old, and I'd never even seen a whole fish. So it was definitely a drastic kick. And I mean, we had the all-you-can-eat crab legs. I wouldn't touch them because I was so afraid to touch the crab legs at that point because it disgusted me.
I
I
understand.
thought it was gross.
I get it.
It took me so long to get used to it, but being in the restaurants forced me to taste everything and forced me to I fell in love with it through it. And became less afraid to try things because I was like, oh, there is more than just, rice and beef and, chicken and corn and mashed potatoes.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I'm grateful I came here because it brought me into the food industry. And then I saw the chefs in this area. And, you came up with the originals in this area. The guys are, the 5 or 6 chefs who opened the first nice restaurants
And
here.
God rest, it's just not far from the anniversary date of Bobby Huber's passing.
Yes.
And
Huge
Monroe
culinary,
Duncan's passing.
Yeah.
Huge players in the culinary scene here.
Yes.
Yeah,
Huge.
and you came up with them in that sense. So was there
I
any...
remember meeting Bobby.
Oh, gosh.
Because
what did
we
he
would,
say to you?
Oh, my God.
This is what I need to know.
So when I was at culinary school, we several of us took it upon ourselves to go on field trips to different restaurants and to try them out, while we were still students. And so we went to Bobbywood one night, the original up in Ward's Corner. And Bobby came out. We asked to see the chef. Bobby came out, and we told him, who we were, what we were doing. And we said, do you have any advice for us as we're up-and-coming chefs? Get the fuck out of it while you can. This is a nightmare. You don't want this life.
He was wrong.
Well, he smiled. He smiled and he said,
smart ass.
Yeah. He was such a smart ass. God love him. And then he smiled and he says, just find somebody to latch onto. Of course, his was Monroe, and learn from them. And put everything into it, But,
so was there a point when you did want to ever quit? Did it ever get that bad in the kitchen? Was there any adversity that you had? I mean, what was...
Almost right from the beginning.
Yeah, what was it like coming out of the gate for you?
Well, I was 30 years old. And
you started late. So
I did.
So you had some
you had
emotions at this point.
Well, and I had been in banking, so it was a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, banking holidays, type of thing. Well, while I was still in Johnson & Wales, because of my banking background, a golf club in Suffolk hired me to be their food and beverage manager because I had that background in management and in money, and I was learning culinary. But it was such a small operation that I not only had to do all the food ordering, the scheduling, all of that went with it, but then I was, behind the line almost constantly also.
Oh, wow.
And, the owners of the golf course, I'm sure that in their mind, they meant well. Maybe they didn't, but they didn't act well. And they mistreated everybody there. And, it wasn't even so much the pay, which was abysmal. It just was... there was, no appreciation. And I'm not one of these people that think I have to be patted on the back all the time. I can make my own accolades if I need to.
Not you.
But, and I'm also not one of these people that thinks, that there's a participation award for everything. But it was an uphill battle all the time. There was never enough resources, not even money. There was never enough resources. It wouldn't matter if they came through and it was a slow period, send somebody home, and it wouldn't matter that we knew that we were going to have a catered event that night to do. There were so many nights for about $16,000 a year that I literally threw a rug down or blanket down on the hard linoleum floor, and I sat there overnight because I had to work 3 shifts in a row, and I had to get up early enough to place my orders, and I had to get up early enough to get ready for breakfast, and then I would work another shift.
For not even a thank you, really.
No, never a thank you.
Right.
Never
so,
a thank you.
Patrick, what you're talking about is actually common talk. I mean, unfortunately it is. So when there's so many people like that abuse it. So they get into the company, they get into the business, the industry. They open up something or they commit to something grand, right?
Yeah.
Now they're committed to this thing on a level you can't even imagine, right?
Yeah.
And they can't back out of it. So now they hate everybody for it. They hate what they're doing. And the next thing you know, they're making everyone around them fucking miserable because they are also miserable.
And I am all for making money. I am, that's the banking part of me. I am I'm very conservative fiscally, and but there comes a point to where you can't do that. You can't make your money on literally crushing somebody below you, especially somebody that's helping you make the money.
Correct.
And so then I transitioned into catering. I had my own catering business called An Entertaining Idea. It was a nod to Martha Stewart because her first book ever was called Entertaining. And I did enjoy that, but it was a challenge again, simply because I could not always afford to hire the staff that I needed. So I ended up doing so much by myself. And again, I'm not afraid of hard work at all, but it does wears
your ass out, man.
And then in the 3 or 4 years that I did it, only one person ever left me a tip, ever, you know. And then more than likely, somebody was always trying to talk you down after the effect. I remember doing a catering once for a Christmas party. They told me to prepare for 300 people. Okay. I cooked everything by myself. I transported there. I set it up. I replenished everything. I broke everything down. Then they wanted to start stuff. Was that really Gruyere cheese? I don't think we should pay for that. Was that?
Oh gosh.
What
Yeah,
was
fuck
that?
that.
Was
I
that
mean,
lump crab
they
meat?
don't realize what the hell
and
you
so
just
they
did.
finally said, we're not going to pay you at all.
Oh,
and
my
it was
gosh.
an accounting firm, and they said, we have attorneys. Good luck. And so
That's when I
was
call some
screwed.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know you now, but of course, if you want me to cater for you, boy, trust me, I have got a contract now that
Yeah.
nobody,
You learned your lesson.
nobody in their
Rock
right
solid.
mind would ever sign.
Or they don't want us to cater for them.
Oh, it's $500 to start, but whether the event's catered or not, it's using your kitchen, it's using your pots and pans. You go grocery shopping for me. You do all the prep work.
Yep.
I cook
just
it.
show up.
I go out. I smile. I drink your alcohol, and then I leave you to clean up. And then
Bitch.
it's $500 an hour, and fuck you very much.
That's right.
But I mean, you develop that mentality over time, and when you went through the restaurants and then you came through to TV, when did the media side kick in? Because
I've always loved educating people, and I've always loved the written word, especially. And but I love sharing so much, and being a Southerner. There is that storyteller in all of us down there. Of course, some of us can't do it coherently, but that's another story. I'm looking at you, Alabama, but I love Alabama. My relatives are there, but
And it's the South. We have South food.
But
Dirty South.
during this time when we lived in Suffolk, the Suffolk News Herald came out, and we subscribed to it. It was a daily paper except for, I think, Monday, so it was 6 days a week. And their food section only had stuff that they pulled down from the wire. There was nothing local, at all in it. So I called and I said, at the time I was actually still going to Johnson & Wales. And I said, I'm a culinary student, and I really love writing, and I would love to write a local piece for you. And they're like, well, that sounds great. We can't pay you. And I said, well, welcome to the world where nobody wants to pay you for shit anyway. And so, but I realized it was an opportunity, and I had fun doing it. And after a while, they did pay me. They compensated me very well. They were very good people at the Suffolk News Herald. They're still very good people at the Suffolk News Herald. But I started, and after a little while, they started a small tabloid. If anybody remembers, Portfolio, was supposed
Great
to be.
magazine.
It's supposed
I
to be
wish
like
it would come the
Portfolio.
fuck back, dude.
Well, this
I know,
was
I love
called
that.
By the Bay, and so I became the food editor for that. Then they gave me the title of food editor at the News Herald. And so, I was producing 2 or 3 things every week. In addition to being a reporter in general, I covered fire and cops, I covered education, I covered city. Then I had a friend that had just started with the pilot, and she said, come write for me. So I've been with the pilot for going on 30 years now. And then the Hampton Roads magazine, which is Coastal Virginia magazine at the time, I reached out to them, and I found out that their food editor was going on a sabbatical. So, of course, I killed her. I mean, They haven't found the body. And I said, I'll take the position because she never came back from the sabbatical. I love you, Marcia. She's out there. She's still alive.
Marsha.
Marsha.
Don't know where she is, but
Marsh. So I built that magazine. I built the food section in that magazine.
Yeah.
They gave me a blank canvas.
How do you feel about this? So this is my thing is now I miss back in the day when chefs were working and I'm on the better side of this. I was able to experience it. But I'm talking about the food writers that would be in the portfolio, be in the New York Times. When chefs were chefs, we'd be written about. People would come see you. There was actual critiquing. There was actual educated writers / reviewers, critics, things of that nature. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the influx of social media influencer, quote unquote, came around.
Which should be a 4-letter word.
Yeah, right. Which one is it?
You want to go for the C word, or you want to go to
Love?
I like the C word. So here's the thing. I'm all for social media. We have to be on it. We're on it right
it's a
fucking
necessary
now.
evil.
Okay, so we can't go against it. But what it did is I think that we lost a lot of what it really takes to be a chef, what it really takes to put in the efforts of the restaurant business, because people are influencing for their own purpose, not for not for the industry.
Yeah.
So,
And they are saying things that they don't know what they're talking about. I'm all for anybody that wants to get out, put themselves out there, and wants to report, write, broadcast, whatever that they want to write, and their opinion. But it needs to be an educated and informed opinion because it's your livelihood. It's these chefs' livelihood. If they say something wrong, if they say something that is negative and they don't know what the hell they're talking about, it can put that restaurant out of business.
Yeah.
If they say something is so great because maybe they're getting something free, or maybe they're a friend of theirs or something like that, then they're sending people there when it is a shithole of a restaurant. There are people, and I can think of 4 in particular in our region, that don't know what the hell they're talking about.
I can think of 4 too. I can think of 7.
It's probably,
8.
it's probably same people we're thinking of.
So they'd have no business writing about me.
Well, they have no business writing about or reporting about food at all. They've never worked, from what I can tell, they've never worked in the industry. They're basing their opinions on pure raw emotion, on location, on personalities. They're not basing it on fact. I have no problem with anybody. I mean, these people, they're not my competitors. Trust me. This isn't a jealousy. They're not my competitors.
They're not your
And I'm not
competitors.
trying to sound egotistical at all.
Yeah.
But I spent $40,000 fucking dollars to culinary school. I've spent 30 years. I ate at 1,800 different restaurants last year. I get up and I read 4 to 5 food blogs before breakfast, and I read things throughout the day. I read every food section from the London Times to the New York Times to the Washington Post to the Los Angeles Times to the Honolulu Star.
Are you saying you give a fuck?
I give a fuck.
give
And
a
these
big
people,
fuck. You give a
these
big
people
fuck.
don't. They're
Yeah.
eating chicken wings, and there's nothing wrong with that because I'm a judge of the chicken wing contest.
I love a
but
chicken
that's
wing.
all
I was
they
going to judge
eat.
it with you
That's
this year.
all-
I
yes,
couldn't make it.
But that's all they eat are chicken wings and drink some kind of fruity cocktail. Please grow a set of balls and drink a real drink.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hello.
Straight
Cheers.
liquor.
And, they make me angry. Again, this is not a jealousy issue. This is not a competition issue.
I'm the same way, Patrick.
These people are out there doing more. They are doing more harm than good, and
Yes.
it's for selfish
They're diluting.
reasons.
They're
It's for
diluting
selfish
what a
reasons.
critic should be. They're diluting what the
Yes.
restaurant should
they
be
give
expected
everybody
of.
a bad name because
Right.
I had some motherfucker on social media recently say that they called me quid pro quo Patrick. I don't know who I've ever approached.
Was that on my thing?
No.
No?
Oh yeah, it
Tony,
was.
did I
Yeah,
say
it
it?
was. Yes, it
Fuck
was.
that dude.
Yes, fuck him.
Did you see what I said to him?
Fuck you.
You
And
saw what I
so,
said to him? We should read that thing. Anyway.
so, but anyway, just getting back to it, this motherfucker, and you can go back and find out who the motherfucker is. I'm not gonna.
I
dare
have it on
speak
my
his
thing.
name.
He wrote it on my blog. He wrote it on my post.
on your page.
Piece
But,
of shit.
I challenge anybody to go back in the
love
last
it.
30
Fire 'em
years
up.
and find any chef that I have ever gone to and said, if you buy me dinner, I'll write
right.
about
Yeah,
you.
never.
I'll
You've
report
never
about
been
you.
that
Bullshit.
way.
Right, exactly. So now I'm going to kick this in here. That's the thing. I've said it before and I've said it
Got
again.
angry. He got angry.
I'll say it
I
again.
love
So
it.
You won't
here's the
like me
thing.
when I'm angry.
So you're an influencer coming into my restaurant. I'm not going to beat this up. I've already said it, but you're going to come into my restaurant. You're an influencer. All you want is a dinner. Well, wait a minute. I don't know who you are. I don't know how many followers you have, and I am going to be the subject matter of your fucking review, whatever it is you're influencing. So who is the influencer here? It sounds like I'm the influencer, not you, because you're coming here to get subject matter. You're coming here to
free
get
shit.
content,
Yeah.
and you want a free meal for it? Show me your fucking following. If you ain't got 1 million followers or 500,000 followers, who are you influencing? Your cousin? You know what I'm saying? I don't care about that. That doesn't mean nothing to me. Stop diluting what this fucking world is about.
Yes.
And the best part about it is this, the double-edged sword of social media, right? So now the best part I like about it is when you got a bad review back in the day, you had to suck that up and figure it out.
Yes.
If you lost a fucking rating, you have to figure that out.
Yes.
But it was written by someone who knew. So you probably really did fuck something up. So there's that. Now, the best part about the influential shit now going on, we can respond.
Yes.
Come for me.
Yes.
Come to me and write a realistic review. And if it is wrong or something is wrong, my service team and my staff and my people who work with me to make what we have happen, right? We all know what's right or wrong. We go make sure we get this shit right. You know what I'm saying? And if there's a legitimate reason out there to respond nicely, or if there's something we need to fix and they're right, we will absolutely do so, because critics are just as important as customers. And if your customer is your critic, you need to make sure you have that continuity.
Yes.
But if you come at me or my staff sideways, and I know it is, I'm coming for your ass.
You should. It's
Which
your
camera are we
livelihood.
at?
It's-
I'm
just
coming
pick
for
a
you.
camera.
It's
Pick
your
a camera.
livelihood.
I'm going to write
Yeah.
back
It's
just
your
as
livelihood.
hard. I'm coming.
But tell them why something is good or not. I had somebody once write, the shrimp was nice. What the hell does that mean? The shrimp was, and I responded to them. I said, what? The shrimp pulled up a chair. They bought you a drink. You know, they showed you pictures of their wife and kids. What the hell does the shrimp is nice to me? If you can't say the shrimp was perfectly battered, the shrimp, you know, was deep fried to where it wasn't greasy or oily, but provided a nice dichotomy of texture between the crunchy exterior and the tender, succulent interior, and there was a beautiful, rich sauce that was on top that enhanced everything. If you can't say that, then you have no business writing about food, because guess what? Every motherfucker out there has a mouth.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love it.
And it's true. I mean, there's people that
Oh,
write reviews.
I need another drink.
I know. I'm
God
like, this
damn.
is just like, it got really fun.
Well,
for that
that's
point
the
of
fact.
it.
Well,
and
I'm
that's what this
passionate
show's
about
about.
it.
You are very
I'm
passionate.
passionate, and it's not just for me that I'm passionate
Yeah.
about. I'm passionate for every restaurateur out there
But you're
that
a
has been
supporter.
done dirty.
Yes,
that
you
has
Right,
been
that's
support
done
exactly.
local.
dirty.
And,
Yeah.
and Patrick, here's the thing. Most people get on these shows and they want to say the right things so that we don't piss off the wrong people.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
I'm almost
There's-
60. I've got
Listen,
arthritis. To hell with it.
The only glorious part about this industry is the fact that we get to do what we love doing. That's it. We do what we
Exactly.
love doing. And if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you.
No,
I mean, there's
I love
nothing
it.
glorious about it, really.
No,
No, there's not.
exactly.
There's nothing glorious. The money, as when you really have to focus on when it comes to the money and stuff, you really have to work hard at anything you're doing to make money.
Yes.
When you're in this industry, nobody gets in this industry for the money.
Free.
It doesn't.
No.
If you do get successful and you are able to open restaurants, it's not the fact that you just got all kinds of fucking money to blow. It's the fact that you want to expand your levels of passion
Yeah.
and go get more, and people trust you. No one's making enough money. I'm not making enough money here to say, all right, I'm just going to take another few mil and go open up another place. No, we got to invest in
nobody-
people who
it's not how it
we
works in the real
we
world.
take a
Yeah.
big risk each
I
time
just
we
thought
do
of two
something
more
new.
assholes that own a I would just say a less than regular print publication that don't know what the hell they're talking about.
They're
this
out
is
there,
gonna
man.
be
They're out there for
Patrick.
sure.
Patrick hates everybody.
Oh no,
like, we're not
I
hating
don't hate
everybody. We're
it's
not.
not
We're
that-
just saying.
I only hate
There's a
people.
few people.
I only hate people that are arrogant enough to think that they can influence somebody else's life when
Yeah,
they don't
yeah.
have their
And they
own
don't have
life
it, yeah.
together to start with.
Yeah.
And right when they're
Humility
using
is a big thing still.
they're using a platform
Yes.
they're using us as a platform to sell themselves to the people who don't know any better.
Yes.
And the people who do know better don't really listen to them anyway. The
Yeah.
people who matter are reading that. They don't know any better. Look, if I have 1,500 guests coming through this door, and one of them in a week has something so horrible to say, and there's things out there saying, don't ever go there, or you're
Yeah.
wasting your life if you even walk through that piece of shit door. But yet, 1,499 other people
But and you don't even know
absolutely
if
love
they've
it.
ever even been in your door.
That's
True.
true.
You don't.
There's so much hate involved with this, especially when you're successful.
And-
so if you're a successful writer, people think that you sucked your dick the way to the top. If you're a successful female in this industry, you too sucked your dick to the top. No one could have just fucking worked for it. It's very hard in this industry to find the level of success.
I would say find people that you know that are credible. You know, I will say this, I have been very lucky to write for the Pilot for the last almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are people that hate the media for whatever reason, and sometimes the media does have its issues. But, you know, it's our local newspaper, and if you look solely at the food department, they have people, you know, there was Lorraine Eaton, before that it was Marsha Cronin, you know,
Judy
there was
Cowling.
Ruth Fantasia, Judy Cowling.
All great.
Now Rikaya Gibson, she's wonderful. You know, they're you know, go to credible sources. Go to credible sources, and you know these. And I'm not saying that everybody that does a blog or that's an influencer isn't credible, you know, but you have to do your due diligence. It's your responsibility. Don't just sit there and have somebody spoon feed you caviar and not shit.
Right, exactly. So what he's saying really, what you're saying is what I'm thinking is if you're going to go to a restaurant, you're going to do your research on the restaurant. If you're going to listen to or read a critic or a food writer, do your research on the fucking writer.
Yes.
Where did they come from?
Yes.
Where did they get their knowledge? How did they gain what it takes to tell you what you should be hearing?
Read some of their other articles.
Read their articles.
Get a feel for them.
Do some research on them. If they don't have a media kit or a background to them or something accessible for you to see their history, then who are you really listening to? Just another person with an opinion?
Yeah, and
I mean,
there are some people in our region, in our state, nationally that, you know, should be followed.
Yes, there are. Now, on the other hand of this, it sounds like we're really bashing the world. We kind of are. However, this place, our life, our reasoning wouldn't be here, though, if it wasn't for the masses of people who are on the other side of that coin.
Absolutely.
Those are the assholes we're talking about. But the assholes don't make the world go round, right?
No.
They just get in the way. The people who really, really work hard are much more in abundance than there are the assholes. The assholes are just fun to talk about.
And there's people out there that should be writing more frequently, even if informally, about food. I know we're mutual friends with Paul and Mary Ann David.
Yep.
You know, I would trust anything that they wrote.
Sure.
Anything.
Yeah.
You know, they dine out a lot. They cook a lot. They're amazing people. You know, find those people in your life because there are good people. And yes, I've been a little bit of a negative Nelly, you know, here, but it is something that I'm passionate about. But there are good people to write about too, or people also to follow and talk to.
No, there's a lot in this area. So.
Right. This is called,
Well,
by
the
the way,
candidness is what needs to happen, and that's why we kind of have all this to fruition, is that people need to actually have
Well, and
these
I just hope people that
conversations.
are watching, you know, understand that, again, I'm not trying to be negative with this. This is just, you know, the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, and it's more of a crime to not address it, you know, and it's more of a crime just to sweep it under the rug or just say, oh, well, you know, that's just the way they are. No, these are some people that are doing real harm,
Yeah, they are. And I mean, it's, you know, we all want people to support us in this industry, and there's both sides of the coin. Owners, chefs, everybody.
Now, there's things we have to deal with is like this. This is called the burnt hands perspective, right? This is not the glorious glitter pot perspective. This is the burnt hands
Although
perspective.
that sounds pretty
It's
good.
actually
We'll
a
get
fun
to that
name,
next time.
but you can use that name.
The things
Go
we
ahead.
deal with in this industry, I call things out how I see them, people. On the camera, I see them. Now, for instance, there is a sign on the fucking door right here, okay, that says
Right
we are
now.
literally fucking recording right now.
Please don't knock,
Do
but
not
they
knock or
knock.
do
It's
not come
okay.
in. And our delivery driver just walks through the fucking door like he didn't see anything, calling it out. It's unbelievable the people we have to deal with. So we're not making this
But we're
up,
in an
dude.
active
The shit
restaurant,
we
so
have
it's
to
fine.
deal with in this world, in this industry, is fucking crazy. Now, on the other hand, though, the dude delivers daily rain and shine and snow, and he's a great fucking dude. So I got to say the both
And
sides
he's
of it.
just
but
out there
this
trying
is
to
what we
make a
deal with.
living.
Yep.
Trying
So
to make a
we
living.
roll
He's
with
got
it.
another
That's what
stop
we do.
after this.
But the
We
burnt
roll.
hand side of me wants to go goddamn bananas, but the fucking chef in me knows that dude's got to do what he's got and has got his
gotta
back.
do what he did,
So it is
I
what
like
it is. So
bananas.
Yeah.
bananas are good. Yeah, I mean, they're good for practice, right? Huh? You know, I learned how to put a condom on with a banana one
Did
time.
you really?
Never used one since.
Okay.
Fucking, you know what I mean? Haven't ate a banana either. But anyway, so
Patrick's. Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I'm just
I
waiting.
use them all
I'm
the
just
time.
waiting for a refill. That's all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
right?
okay. I know we don't have like a martini server.
Isn't that too
today,
bad? You
but
don't have a martini girl.
I know. I'm sorry. It was me because I made your martini and I'm sitting
Right?
here, so I can't make you another one.
Oh,
right
well,
now.
I can
It's
wait.
okay. It's fine.
So you know, to sum it all up, we have so much going on in this industry.
Yes.
I want to do one thing. I want to get back to, before we end up wrapping up here, there's a question I've always wanted to ask a historian that when I was young, and I thought a lot of people who are listening probably do this. I look at an oyster. Let's stick back here to the bay, okay? I see an oyster. I see a sea urchin, fucking corn on the cob. There's a million things out there, right? Go back to when the people came here, colonized Virginia off along York, the river over here, Elizabeth River, right? They're from another side of the world. Same ocean, different place, different species, different things. When they opened up a fucking oyster, how hungry were they? And what happened to look at a sea urchin and say, there's something in that little ball of spiky shit that I'm going to have to eat because I'm starving? Is there any history showing when that happened here? Because that's something I've always intrigued me. It's like, I look at something like an oyster. Who broke this thing open thinking it was even fucking clever enough to try? You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know who ate the first oyster. We do know that M.K.F. Fisher wrote, whoever ate the first oyster was indeed a very brave person. By the time the colonists first came here and landed at Cape Henry in present-day Virginia Beach, April 26, 1607, Englishmen were already very well aware of oysters. They were eating a lot of them. So,
on their side.
Yes. So it would have been something very familiar. But what's so amazing here and what really solidifies Virginia as the birthplace of American cuisine and seals our Commonwealth's place in the food history, not only of America, but of the world, was that 2 days later, George Percy, who was the diarist who later became a governor, and several other folks got in a small skiff and went around to about where Lynn Haven Bay is now, so about where the Lesnar Bridge is. And there George Percy writes, we came upon a plot of land where they were newly roasting oysters, and he's talking about the Native Americans. When they perceived their coming, they fled to the mountains, and there he's talking about sand dunes, which were as tall as 10, 20-story, 30-story buildings at the time. Wow. They fled to the mountains and left the oysters, which were very large and delicate in taste. And that's your predecessor right there. That's the first first written, prepared food review in English-speaking America.
Oh my gosh.
And we still eat Lynn Haven oysters.
Is there a copy of that review somewhere?
Yes, in my book.
Okay, so that's good.
Buy my book.
Well, listen, we're gonna do some plug life right now, and say your books are accessible. Let's plug the book, man. Yeah. Plug where you can purchase your stuff. Where can we find you? Where can we go with you?
And most booksellers, I even see them in Walgreens, from time to time. But certainly everything is available on Amazon or
all
other places.
Under your pen name.
Yeah, under Patrick Evans-Hylton. Yeah.
Okay. So everybody can look that up.
Yeah.
And where can they find you to support the show as well? Because you do that for
I'll put on my radio voice here.
Yeah.
Do it.
Log into VirginiaEatsAndDrinks.com. That's VirginiaEatsAndDrinks.com.
Sounds like
and
a bedroom
it's easy
voice.
to find. I support the show every year because I love you, and you've always been amazing, and you've always supported all the local talent and products in this area.
I know it got negative there for a little bit. I think we said things that needed to be said because people pussyfoot around. Don't go there. People pussyfoot around these topics, and there are people. What people don't understand. This is not freedom of speech. They are doing harm. They are doing harm to a lot of things. Just by if you have your opinion, we know what that means. Everybody's got one. There are ways to express your opinion, and that does not make an ass out of you and me.
Yeah.
So that said, we live in a wonderful area. There are plenty of great resources. The Virginia Pilot, whether I write the article or Rakaya does or Lee Belote or whoever writes a food article, read that. Listen to me on the radio, watch me on Coast Live. Read the Daily Press. There are plenty of good resources to find out more, including this podcast.
Yes. Well, we appreciate you being here.
We appreciate you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you've been a staple here for so long. It's been a privilege to work with you and be on your show as well.
Oh,
so now
yes.
you're going to I've already been on his show, so it's a good time.
What I'm going to say is whether people in this area, everybody knows who you are. Whether like you or not, there needs to be a level of respect for what it is you've produced and what it is you bring to the area, your knowledge. The only reason they probably don't like you is because you have a lot of it and you may not include them as much.
Well, or at least at that time, it's a big. I mean, it's
a big area.
It's a big area.
It's ever-changing.
And you know what? Reach out to me if you
That's
have a
right.
question, have a comment.
Sure.
If you want me to sit down with you, just reach out to me. Don't assume that I've got PMS, not ESP.
Right, I got you. So we sat down one time and had dinner not long ago, and we had a really good time. And I sat there and got to know more about you during that hour and a half, 2 hours over a bottle of Brunello.
Oh yes,
it was delicious, and I just couldn't stop picking your brain about the knowledge you have in the area. Going back to that as well, we're not going to beat this up too much, maybe for another show. Yeah. I would really like to look at what you have. You have a huge collection of culinary artifacts as well.
Yes.
You collect.
Yes.
Can you give me 1 minute on that?
Absolutely. I realized when I was living in Suffolk and I started finding out the history of planters, what a rich culinary history this area had. And I started reading up on country ham, and I started, meeting some of these chefs that had been around for so long. And so I have about 30,000 pieces in my culinary artifacts collection, mostly Virginia, mostly Chesapeake Bay. Everything from the 1600s to present. It includes menus. It includes crab cages. It includes oyster tongs. It includes postcards. It includes menus. It includes so many different things that chronicle the way we have eaten, the way we have lived, because the way we eat is a reflection of our lives. We come out of the womb and there's a celebration all the way from our birth to our wedding to graduations to retirements to new jobs and to our passing. Food is not a passion. Food is a way of life.
Cooking is a passion.
Cooking is a passion.
Yep.
But food is our way of life. It chronicles our life. It defines our life.
Awesome. So, and absolutely. So, I lost my thought.
You said a lot.
I
That's
said
a lot. He has some
that's a lot
profound
right there.
thoughts on that. Well, I need to get you a refill.
Oh, please.
And we will continue this conversation with more of the history. So, Patrick Evans-Hylton, I love you.
Cheers.
You're amazing. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for coming.
much.
And I have
Thank
one more
you.
question
Oh,
before we
yes.
wrap this
Okay.
up. I just thought of it.
Oh,
very important.
last minute.
For a lot of people who don't understand, you have some history with the James Beard stuff. You're well aware with
Yes.
them and stuff.
Yes.
And you could maybe answer this question that I try and tell people, but it'd be better coming from somebody who has an absolute relationship with them, right? People all over the country wonder, first thing, when are you going for a James Beard Award? Listen, we don't have that luxury of saying we get it, we don't get it. Typically, a region or a area qualifies to even be noticed first, right? What is it for all those people who are listening out here and just think it's so easy? You need a James Beard Award. Can you explain real quick what can our area or any area do? What do the local chefs have to do to get that recognition, to get them there? Because this area is a beautiful area. It's a great culinary scene, but yet the chefs need to come together and do to what? What needs to happen?
So what needs to happen is we need to get the right people here. We don't know who all is a judge in what category. I have served for the last 10 years at the pleasure of the James Beard Foundation as a judge in numerous categories. I can't say which. The most recent, I was a broadcast media judge, but I can't say what type of broadcast media I was a judge in. But as far as other judges, I don't even know who all the other judges are, but I can guarantee you they're people at some of the large there at least some of them are people at large publications. We need to have a reason to get those people down here. A simple fam tour from some of the CVBs in the area, a familiar tour, is not enough to get them down here and to be shuttled around on a schedule where it's 15 minutes after it's time for you to eat the dessert. It's 30 minutes after it's time for you to go for cocktails. They need to come down here, and they need to come down here and spend some time, and there needs to be an event where chefs work together, and most chefs do, but it really, so many egos need to be put in check, and we need to have the right people down here for an event where local
The right people you
ingredients-
mean from their side, from
Yes,
the beard?
from their side.
Okay.
Their side. I'm not going to say who's the right people down
Sure.
here. The cards will fall where they may.
Yeah.
But where, we really showcase local. We have great restaurants. New Orleans has great restaurants. We have great chefs. San Francisco has great chefs. We have unique ingredients, we have unique cooking styles, and we have food history that no place else in the entire world has. That needs to be showcased. And there's, somebody from New York is probably just not going to take it upon themselves. I mean, they're probably not. I mean, let's just be honest. To come down here and to out of their own pocket to go to 3 or 4 different places and restaurants and to research, they're going to stay in their own, either in their own wheelhouse, or they're going to go wherever an assignment is, and we're not getting those assignments from Bon Appetit, from Savour. We need to have those people
So
come
if
here,
you build
and
it,
it needs
they
to be
will
on,
come.
and it needs to
Like,
be our
yeah.
diet. I mean,
Yeah.
Basically, chefs need
the
to
city,
chefs
the
need to
city,
make
the
noise.
city,
We
the
gotta
city.
make
gotta
noise.
create- you gotta
chefs
guide.
need
Yeah.
chefs
We tell
need
you
to
how to
make
do
noise,
it.
and the cities need to pony up with the money. Businesses
'em
need to
here.
pony up with free hotel rooms. The airport needs to pony up with airfare. We need to lay out the red carpet for people and have them here, because I know once they come, they will be a fan.
So that's what it
Well
is,
put.
is making enough noise for the Baird or any other foundation or
Anybody.
entity. Even Michelin,
Can you
all that
imagine-
stuff, they need to be
Can you
brought to
imagine
our
what
area.
a full-page article in the New York Times would do for this area?
Be crazy.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
Yeah.
We'll work
Yeah.
on that.
Well, amazing.
Until then,
Cheers.
raise the glasses. Raise your empty ass glass. All right, here we go. Thank you for coming. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
We're gonna be looking forward to it. We're gonna put some tags and everything on this thing. We're gonna do some plugs for you to get so you can find Patrick.
Got it.
Get into his books. Look at his education. Follow this man. He's a huge asset to the community in a culinary scene here.
And
Other
next
than
time,
that, I
please,
got nothing
please
for it.
have glasses that don't evaporate as quickly, because I know I
I
didn't
know, it
drink
had
this
a-
all.
You got a
I know.
hole in the back of your
I
mouth,
know.
man.
think
It's
it is.
okay. It's
All
all
right.
right.
Listen, ciao for now.
Cheers.
Ciao.